How can you know what you want without really having the awareness of what you're all about and what's important to you and what your values are and what is important to you? What do you really want?
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. My new best friend, Victoria, is here with me today. And I'm so excited to talk to her about all of our senses. You know, sometimes we do affirmations, and sometimes we do visualizations, and sometimes our affirmations are ones that we don't even know we're doing because we're beating ourselves up because I just dropped something again. I'm such a klutz. You know, that's an affirmation. We're telling ourselves something. So how do I use all my senses to bring positive results, to create that life I really want? And while we're doing that, how do I be thankful for the life I have right now? You know, it's like if we only just want change, we're not ever going to be happy because you're always going to need to change. So how do I bring that whole life together? Love today and look forward to the even more beautiful tomorrow. So, Victoria, before we get started, let's get a quick word from our sponsor. We come back, let's jump right in. So we'll be right back. Hey, since I rarely have openings in my coaching schedule, I have a new resource out there on my website. It is called the BFF Coaching Network. And I have offered a spot there for any coach that has been on the show to list their coaching. You can go out there, you can listen to their episodes, you can feel a little bit about them, and then choose a coach that will work for you. So LaraJaneLayton.com, the BFF Coaching Network. All right, Victoria, the information about using the show notes. So how do I use all of my senses to create my best life?
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show, Laura Jane. It's a privilege and an honor. And that is such a great question when it comes to using all of our senses, because when we think about, say, visualization, for example, a lot of people will think of that as, just what you're seeing in your imagination, in your mind's eye, when in fact, it requires so much more, so many other layers and getting yourself into alignment, with what it is that you really want to create in your life, what you desire to have. So I would say as a starting ground, before you can even consider using all of your senses, you want to really get very clear on what it is that we're wanting to use these senses for in the first place. So many of us do such a great job at talking about the problem, talking about what's going wrong, talking about what we feel bad about, what we feel sad about, and what's frustrating us, what's disappointing. Like these are the words that are just constantly showing up for people, and it's fine, to feel that way and to acknowledge that. But we get into such a habit pattern of talking about what we don't want that we forget, oh, it is about what is it that we actually do want. So I always start there and letting yourself, really understand what is the life that we want to embody. And what does that actually look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? And, when we actually step into that place. So it all starts there. Like when you find yourself talking about what it is that you don't want, you want to immediately pick up on that and flip the script and ask yourself, okay, what would I like instead? If I could just wave a magic wand and I could make all of this disappear, and because the subconscious mind doesn't really know how to delete things, it only really knows how to add things. And so we have to have something that we're moving toward. If it's, say, your career and you have been stuck in a place where, you're just kind of not moving forward. What would moving forward look like for you? What would it entail? Where would you be sitting? Who would be listening to you? What would be the words that would come out of your mouth? What would you be feeling like when you wake up in the morning? What time would you wake up in the morning? What time would so these are all the different senses that we would want to incorporate in defining who are we? Who are we now that we have this new um, desire fulfilled? And coming to that as if that desire has already been fulfilled. Because, when you incorporate all of your senses, that is making it much, much more real to you and much more believable.
Okay, so let's say I'll make an analogy. So I love to lay in the pool on my back and just float and just enjoy just that peaceful float. But I hate bumping into the sides. Like I could think about staying away from the sides. I don't want to bump into anything. So as we're going through, we know what we like. We know in that situation what we don't like. Now, how do I fix the sides of the pools? Do I change them to be softer? Would that be okay? Do I just get a bigger pool so I can float longer without hitting a side? Do I learn to turn occasionally? But do you think I'll ever not hit the sides again? And maybe I need to know that it's okay because it's just pointing me in a direction or reminding me it's time to turn. So, using this type of analogy when you're thinking through something like, okay, I really hate getting to the office and someone's got my parking spot, you know, what do you do? Go earlier. What do you do? Uh, Ask the person not to park there. They're not reserved. We just kind of claim the spot we like, right? So, so it's like, what do we do in those situations and how do we fix it? And knowing what causes the problem is,
Yeah.
of course, the first step.
Yeah.
Now, what are some creative solutions to it? And then decide how you're going to handle it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things in both of those scenarios with hitting the side of the pool or always getting to the parking lot, and having that space taken, both of those, I sensed a little bit of resistance, right? Around the thing that you don't want. Like, what, what would be something good that we could reframe that to? I think part of
Right.
it is when we, are trying to push something away. Well, the more we try to push that thing away, the more attracted we are to that, unfortunately, because we're thinking about what we don't want. And so we're like literally pulled in that direction. So if we could just accept it and embrace it. So, what could be possibly good about maybe bumping into the side? Oh, it's like, oh, I realize that this is keeping me safe. I'm not going to just float off into
Never,
Never
never
Never Land,
land.
right? This is actually keeping me safe. Or what about when you're having to, this space is taken, how could we reframe that into, well, now I have an opportunity to walk a little further and get a little bit more exercise on my way to work. That's the way I always think about it personally. Like whenever there's a parking spot, it's like, why is it that I even really need to park this close to the building anyway? Don't I love to walk? I actually do. I love to walk. So we could think of what is the positive that we're actually getting out of that. Now, at the same time, we're now accepting that, like, this is okay. Like, this situation is okay. As soon as we release our need to change it, it changes. And it allows us to also step into what is it that we do want. So, we can also like visualize that wonderful parking spot and how that wonderful parking spot is going to be available for us. Somebody's just gonna pull right out, and we're gonna pull right in, and it's just gonna have that magical feeling, and we can even, we can use all the senses. We can look at, okay, this blue car is sitting there in that space that I love, and it's we can just see it pulling out. We can hear ourselves saying, there's that spot that I love, and it's just opening up for me. And we can say some kind of an affirmation like, I love the way I always seem to find the right spot at the right time. And then we can feel, what does that feel like? What is that little giddy feeling, that little excitement? It's like, ooh, I did it again. I found the perfect parking spot for me. And so you can allow yourself to really embrace all of the feelings, the thoughts, the vibration, what does that look like? What does that look like when I am pulling into that spot and I'm getting out of the car and I turn back and I lock the door and it's like there's that spot and then there it is again when I'm getting in at the end of the day. And so you're just allowing yourself just to really capture all those beautiful senses.
And when you're talking about that, I'm thinking, if you know the problem, then you can focus on how do I solve it. And is the solve is happy to just be, it's okay in my life, and here's the benefits of it. Reframing that, I hate this, to this is part of what's good for me. And with the parking spot, I really do know someone who gets up and gets to the office by 5 o'clock because if he doesn't, his parking spot's gone. And that is how important that spot is to him. No spot's that important to me. Like I would much rather sleep another hour or two and then get to the office. And so it's like, where are your priorities? And when you know you're able to do that assessment. And it's like, okay, I'm going to focus on the solution. My solution's getting up 4 o'clock so I can be to the office early. Or my solution is find a new spot because I don't want to think about it. Or like, I don't even need to have my own spot. I want to park wherever the universe wants me to park today. What is that mind thought process that you want to do? And that's where we gain control in our lives when we're okay with where we're at and we know where we're going.
Absolutely.
And I love the affirmations are so important, but I think I shouldn't say, but I did it again. And a lot of us do them wrong. Like if I say, I'm going to affirmate that I don't get a faraway parking spot, now I'm focusing on the faraway parking spot. So what is it that I do want? And some of us have a hard time creating an affirmation of, I do want it and I already have it. Like, because if we put it, I want to be healthy, I'm moving towards healthiness, that could mean healthiness is moving away.
Yeah.
So I get closer and closer to my optimum health every day. It's not moving away. So how would you want to frame it where it could be right now and every moment you could be closer to that goal? How do
Yeah.
you do yours?
So, that's a really, really great question. So affirmations, if you think of just breaking down the word, it's to affirm. And it's to affirm something essentially that is already true. So what we really want to do is we want to think, and the whole purpose of doing affirmations is really a couple of reasons, but the main thing is so that you feel good. They are really designed to help you to feel good so that, you take the actions, the correct actions, and it's also helping you to just believe more and more that whatever it is that you're going for is true and that it's happening and that it's in progress. So let's break down. I mean, an affirmation is to affirm something's already true. So what is it that you could grab in that reality that is already true. For example, let's say that you're working on, we already brought up a health goal. So let's just say that we're working on becoming our healthiest self. What is something about that we like that is already true? Well, maybe it's like, I love the way I feel when I am fit and trim. I love how my clothes fit when I am in great shape. So these are things that, like, it's an absolute, undeniable truth that I love how I feel when I am and all that does. And so it's not lying to yourself. It's just affirming something that is absolutely true, even if it is just you're affirming that you love how you feel, or that you could also use like an undeniable statement, something like, "When I eat healthy, it makes my body feel great. When I eat healthy, it makes my body feel great." And so we just want to have like these affirmations, something that we are affirming that is already true, but that also puts us in the state of mind that says, "Yes, I I choose into that." And that's another really, really great empowering word is I choose. I'm making healthy choices. I'm starting today. All day long, I am choosing myself. I'm choosing to hydrate. I'm choosing whatever it is that is going to help us to stay focused on that end result. I'm choosing into this. And so these are all really, really great ways that we can just affirm and, think about all the things that you like, that you love, that feel good, all the feel good things about what it is that you're stepping into. Or, I'm stepping into good health. I so look forward to the day that I can get on that scale and, you know, be happy, whatever it is. And so it's all about, how people like kind of do affirmations wrong, is like they will say things like, I will, or I'm going to, or this is happening in the future. And what that does is it keeps it out in the future. Or they will say things like, I am thin. Well, when they're not. And so then what that does, the reason why we, don't want to lie to ourselves is because that creates like a negative vibration. It creates a little friction in the body. You know that you're lying to yourself, so you're not feeling good about that. So what can we say instead? We can simply say, I'm feeling thinner and thinner by the day. I'm ready to feel thin. I'm just making better health choices for myself. These are the kinds of things that, the subconscious mind really grabs onto as true, and then it makes the change.
I like what you're saying. I think we could take it even another step is what is the feeling you have when you're thin? What is the feeling you think you will have? What will you see? What will you hear? And incorporate those into that process of I am feeling like I could walk a mile and still have energy and my body keeps going. What is it that you can do that's beyond just sight or beyond just the thought or beyond just how can I incorporate more than one sense into that process? And I've always kind of hated um, people focusing so much on the pounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, hey, like my husband was like, I'm going to get down to this. And I go, well, if you choose not to work out your muscles, I think you would be fine at that weight. But if you're going to have muscles, you
Yeah.
may not look good there.
Exactly.
Not that look isn't what matters, but it's the idea that we get our number fixated or process fixated and we forget the reason why. And
It's
I
so
think
true.
knowing the reason why and incorporating that, like I am getting healthier and every day because I love to move
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I want to move. I'm tired of not being able to move. Those are the things like that was in the past. Now it's in the I used to not be able to move, but as of today, I'm moving better and better. Or for now, this is helping me move better and better. It's how do we want to do it? And I love the way you said it, but I want to make sure we're focusing on why do I want to be thin? If it really truly is just so other people think you look good, that's okay.
Yeah.
If you really are so self-conscious about not fitting up to somebody else's measurement, that's okay. But I am working on my measuring stick, so I always measure perfect. I may not feel perfect, but I'm working on my measuring stick because I think I'm looking at things wrong.
Right.
If I can look at it right, my measuring stick's going to say, this is the perfect day for you today.
Yeah. Well, and at the end of the day, our why is really, because we want to feel a certain way. I mean, why we do anything, why we want to have our business, why we want to be in a relationship, why we want that car, why we want that house, why we want our kids to behave, why we want to be thin or look a certain way, or why we want anything is we think that that's going to make us feel a certain way. It's going to make us feel happy. It's going to make us feel relieved. It's going to make us feel in control. It's going to make us feel determined, disciplined, motivated, confident, relieved, whatever it is. We think that goal is going to make us happy. And so ultimately, at the end of the day, we want to we want to figure out what is the feeling state that we are really going for. Like, why do we really want that? What is it that we think that's going to do for us? And, so why do you want to move? What makes you feel energized? It makes you feel excited. It makes you feel passionate, whatever it is. And then we want to design our affirmations. We want to design our what we're visualizing. We want to design our actions all around what is going to cause us to feel that way right now. Because the truth of the matter is, we don't have to complete or check off those boxes in order to make us feel that way. Um, we can choose to feel that way right now. And, maybe it's just that, you visualize or you say an affirmation that's going to make you feel that way. Or, there are activities that make you feel that way. Whenever you are working toward your goal, just having a sip of water might make you feel that way. Having a cup of coffee or, some tea or meditating or whatever it is, something that mimics that same feeling or causes you to feel that way. And the more you feel that way, the closer you are going to be to achieving the thing that you say that you want.
I'm going through this. Like, it's like, how do I do this and still stay in the present
Yeah.
and in the positive? Yet, it's like, how do I convince myself that everything is perfect right now, but I want change and it's going to be perfect then too? And it's like when you're on a staircase and you're halfway up, is the next step just a pain in the butt? No, it's necessary. I'm right where I need to be to get to where I want to be. And I am where I want to be because I'm closer and closer to my goals. And it's like, how do we change that? That's the stair in the middle of the staircase isn't bad because it's not the top or the bottom, but it's an essential part to get us to where we're going. And how do we start being okay with being halfway there or okay with I'm where I want to be, but it's okay to change, because these are thought processes that we scrunch. We say, no, I can't think that way. I'm supposed to be like this. We have all these rules we follow instead of really deciding Who are you, Victoria? What makes you tick? What makes you perfect today and perfect tomorrow, even though you've changed?
Yeah, it's all by design. And, every moment is an opportunity you know, um, to feel bliss, to feel grateful, to be present, to whatever is happening right now. I mean, if we really um, focus on the present moment, in any moment that we're in, we can find peace in that moment and we can find perfection in that moment. Even if you're going through something that's really hard, I think sometimes we're so focused on trying to push away whatever we're dealing with, that is what makes you feel bad, is the struggle of not wanting to be where you are. So if you are able to just say, okay, but I am here, I am on this gurney being, going into surgery right now, and it's okay because I still have air in my lungs. I still have consciousness. I still have people in my life that love me. I can be at peace right now through this chaos. Whatever it is, if we can just embrace the perfection of this moment and this moment and this moment and just be with it. And even if we just have to take a moment just to focus on the air in our lungs and the breath, just allowing ourselves to do that and to be okay and to be peaceful, I think we will find it much easier to be like okay with the lack of perfection that we perceive, because it is just a perception. Because it's not matching up with a reality that we think should be happening right now. And if we could just get rid of that word should, instead of saying it shouldn't be this way or it should be some other way, and we can just say it is this way. This is where I am right now. And so I can choose to have a problem with this moment, or I can choose to be okay knowing that there is a gift in the present in every moment.
When you look back on life, those things that taught you the biggest lessons and gave you the biggest boost may have been the ones that you were the most uncomfortable in.
Hmm.
Like, I cannot do this. This is not, you just that rock bottom. How do I keep going forward? And you made it through. It's funny that the highlights don't seem to make as big a difference as those dips. And you remember the dips and you stay, you know what to stay away from. I didn't like that when George was telling me what to do. So I'm not going to engage him for a while in conversation. So it's like, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It all ties back to that self reflection. It's like, to make the perfect affirmation, you need to know what you really want. And what you really want probably is based on something you don't want. And so, how do I've experienced sadness in the past, and
Hmm.
I like it when I'm happy. I choose to be a happy person
Hmm.
and know that I'm going to look for the good no matter what. It can be awful, but I'm looking to look for the good. I'm on the gurney, but I got really good surgeons that are going to take care of me. It's like I'm blessed with the best.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm having to, like, when I think about the gurney that's like 2 days from now, I mean, by the time, your audience hears this, I will be on the other side of this and I will be fully mended. But it's like you can focus on the fear of, going through hip replacement surgery, or you can focus on the positive of the fact that, like, wow, I'm going to be able to walk without pain before too long. And so I'll be out there, doing my hikes and I'll be able to go further than ever before. And, you just got to go through this little micro moment in time, which we can all get through because I don't think the universe ever gives us anything more than what we can handle. But it's so easy to, focus on, slip back into that state. And I think that's why, it's so important to, like you said, really know who you are. How can you know what you want without really having the awareness of what you're all about and what's important to you and what your values are? Just what is important to you? What do you really want? Beyond the superficial. Because all the things, the superficial things, not that they're bad to want those things, but they're all really there. They're all things that are just tools that are helping us to experience what it is, that we really came here for. Did we come here to inspire, to impact, to make a difference, to change the world, to change people's minds, to change people's, just to love, to spread peace, to spread joy. Like, what are we here for? And what is my personal journey all about? And once we understand ourselves and what our personal journey is all about, I think it's much easier to really, um, you know, change from like, okay, that bad thing happened to, okay, let's regroup. What is it that I want? And, what do I need to give to myself in order to express that?
We started talking about those, bringing in those four senses, into this. And so we're talking through this and like, how do I bring sense and touch and the auditory and all that into this process of, creating my best life for tomorrow?
So I think it all starts with, really allowing yourself some quiet time each day, to like really get acquainted with all of your senses and with yourself. And listen to, and let's just talk about the sixth sense, listen to your intuition, and like listen to the words that are being spoken, to you through your higher self, through a higher source, through a being, that we're all ultimately, I think, connected to. And, really giving yourself permission to just the listen, and because in a way, it's like I talk a lot about manifestation, a lot of attraction, and, how we manifest things. But in a way, it really kind of comes down to what we're really doing is we're experiencing how life is unfolding for us just so perfectly. Like what we crave, what we want, it's already here. We're just lining up with it. And so, when we go into that silence, we can tune into what am I listening to? What am I hearing? What is the voice? What is the quiet voice in me saying right now? What am I seeing? What is the vision that comes to my mind when I, think about being the fully expressed version of myself? And then, with those two senses at play, what is the sensation that I experience in my body? Where do I experience that sensation? Do I feel that in my heart? Do I feel that in my fingertips? Where do I experience that sensation? And what does that actually feel like? How would I articulate that? And the more we like tune in during those quiet moments to all of those senses, the more we're able to really work with them and kind of manipulate them in a way to help bring us closer to our desired goals and our desired result.
I love it. Remembering back in high school when I used to do gymnastics and the visualization processes that we would run through, and you heard your music. You laid there in a meditative spot, but you did your whole routine 3, 4 times in a row, and you heard the music, and you visualized yourself doing every movement perfectly because you felt those perfect movements before. And so you imagine those same muscles moving at that same time. And so you create this perfection. And then when you get out there, you know what it feels like. You've taken all the perfect moments that you felt and then you put them into a visualization. And there's many, many, many sports that do this. So it's not just, but they'll go through that process of how do I kick that perfect field goal? And it's not always on the field. You do it in your head, and we can do this with anything. You're going to talk to your boss the next day. You can sit down and do a visualization, where you're not even talking out loud, but these are the things I want to tell him. These are what I'm going to imagine his expressions are going to be. This is how I'm going to get through them. And you come up with your plan, and even adding a scent when you're doing it, you can say, okay, my talk to the boss sense is going to be X, whatever you feel like it wants to be, peppermint, whatever. And then as you visualizations, you use your scent. Then when you walk in to see your boss, you use the scent. It just grounds you to that a little bit further. So you've watched yourself do it. You've now had that common smell and just grounding it all together. Worry stones, and I don't know why they call them worry stones. I mean, I do know why, but that tactile, if you
Yeah.
take something like that, and when I feel this is what I'm going to use when I'm imagining talking to my boss about this, difficult situation. And then you could take it. Pens, we click the tops all the time. It's auditory and it's a sensation. So is that something that would drive your boss nuts? Probably you don't want to take it with you if it would. But if he's cool or she's cool, but it's just what is those sensations that I can add when I'm thinking through this and planning it that I can take with me and make sure I stay grounded into that. Because we can get something that didn't happen, our visualization will come up. And if it's the pen click, you can just reground yourself, bring yourself right back. Or if it's your worry stone, or if it's, whatever it is, if you take it with you, you're going to be able to stay focused longer. And so I love that with not just our bosses, but our whole life. I choose to find the best in this situation. And somewhere in earlier, you said, I choose me. You might have said a different word than me, but I choose me.
Yeah.
How important is that saying? And you just got a call from your mom and she wants you to come help her. I want you to say, I choose me. And in this situation, how do I choose me and help her at the same time? Make
Well,
sure you're not losing who you are.
absolutely. Well, by choosing yourself, you are also at the same time choosing all the people that you're there for. Because without you, they can't depend on you to do those things. So you have to, like they say, put the oxygen mask on yourself first and then assist others. And so you have to make sure that your cup is full. Otherwise, you're not going to be the highest level of service for those other people. So I think it's actually, even though, the word selfish kind of gets a bad rap, but it's like almost even a selfless act to be a little selfish, to put yourself first, to set those boundaries, to have some kind of a backbone when other people, are trying to um, get you, to do things that are, a little bit beyond your energy level. And because when you spread yourself too thin, you're really not there for others. And you will find that it depletes your energy. And so you have to take that time to give to yourself, to put yourself first, to fill your own cup, so that your cup is so full that you are able to give in much more meaningful ways to other people around you. And just to kind of touch a little bit upon, what you were talking about with the different senses, like with the pen clicking, we call that anchoring. And in your visualization, one of the things that you can do when you need a little something, whatever it is, you need a little boost of motivation, or you need a little boost of confidence, or you need a little, the confidence to say no. I mean, saying no is probably one of the most powerful words, because when you're saying no to certain things, you're saying yes to what you want. And so just, any kind of stimuli, which like you can trigger, like the pen clicking, or holding. I have my little Believe rock, that I can touch it. It feels cool. And all I have to do is, in my meditation, I can say, okay, whenever I need a little bit of confidence, so let me just go ahead and, feel that feeling of confidence, and then I'll squeeze the rock. And then I put all that feeling of confidence into this stone. And so then, whenever I need a feeling of confidence, all I need to do is just pick up this stone and really put all my attention on how it feels, and allow it to bring back that confidence. There's a little bit more to it, but we call that anchoring. And to just bring up, to stimulate those feelings that you need at any time.
Whatever, however we call it, it works. You know?
Yes.
And so
Absolutely.
it's like, it's okay. We worked this out. So I love everything we've talked about. And I'm having a hard time wanting to stop talking to you because it's so interesting. But let's wrap up. And why don't you share with our friend a little bit about you, how to get a hold of you, what you do, and tell us about your really cool podcast too.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity once again. It's been a pleasure, Laura Jane. And, just a little bit about me. So I've, been a certified master hypnotherapist since 1999, a little over 26 years. And, I help people mainly through my digital creations. I do a little coaching in hypnosis on Zoom. But I love helping the self-helpers. I'm a kind of a self-helper person. So I created so many tools between my courses, my Believe app, my podcast, the Power of Your Mind podcast. My Believe app has over 1,000 meditations, all designed to help you to really regulate your mindset, and help you to, create whatever qualities, attributes, states of mind that you need to be in order to create the reality that you desire. And I've written a number of books, best-selling author, Practical Law of Attraction, and a few others. And if you go to my website, victoriamgallagher.com, you'll find all the things there that I do, all the accomplishments, and all of my programs. So thank you very much for having me on your show.
Thank you. What's that one thing we should try this week to see if we can't get into using those four senses for our best life?
I think the best thing that you can do is sit in silence. Try it for 5 minutes, even just to monitor your breathing. And when I say monitor it, like literally observe it without trying to change it. And notice whenever any thoughts come in, any outside thoughts, which they will, and then just put your attention back on, on your breath and your senses, and just be present to all that is there inside of you already. And from there, expand the time as long as you can to, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, as you get better and better at really putting your focus and awareness on just being able to be present with whatever is going on inside of you. You're going to start to tune into those desires of frequency, and the way will be shown on how you can line up with that.
Awesome. We will do that this week. I love it. Thank you, Victoria, for joining me today. Friend, Victoria and I are not medical or mental licensed professionals. We're here for entertainment. People have been down that road and would love to shine a light on that road for you to keep you moving smooth and forward. So thank you for joining, and stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.